Well, welcome to the Dream Labs, Dr. Contrast Live here. Excuse me, just really interesting. Thank you so much here for tuning in, those who are going to follow here. And I just thought we'd take a moment, and this is going to be a very good solid day, because I just want to start with an explanation about where we've been and the journey at hand here. And today I'm going to conduct just a fine illustration study on this long-range bomber, the Manta 7 series. Hey, Victor, how are you, man? Good to have you on board. Excuse me, I've got this voice problem here all of a sudden. But I just want to, before we begin, I've got the line drawing all set to go. I just want to bring up some little bit of histrionics in this thing. And what really was a breakthrough last week, I think it was, a good friend of ours who watched the program in Europe, all of a sudden, hey, Shadow, how are you, man? Good to see you. Just a quick little overview here before we start the final illustration of this Manta series, this long-range bomber. But it was interesting that, let me use these sketches for the example here. Interesting input from last week from a viewer who said, why don't you take the cockpit underneath, running a demo at him, and all of his own, man, that's getting there, Shadow, thank you. But I was all locked into this canopy system being up on top and very traditional, and then all of a sudden the input came in, why don't you tuck the canopy underneath? And it came from the fact that the manta ray, the way, hey, Nemo, how are you, man? This is the viewer from Europe, yes. Hey, I just want to take a moment here. This guy, Nemo, has been an absolute, hey, good to have you on board, Nemo. I want to salute you and the standing ovations to you. Hey, Demetrius, how are you? No problem into a meeting. I will try to get through some of it here before you, and I hope you catch it later. I'm going to finish up the illustration today, Demetrius, on this long-range bomber. But I'm going to take a moment to hats off and standing ovations to Nemo for the input he provided last week on this whole program. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that throughout the course of the last 4 or 5 sessions, really looking for proportion and scale and getting the right girth on this thing and the right content. Yeah, very mentally. Yeah, it's really neat. And then Nemo, thanks so much to you for the insight of, okay, why don't you try looking at this thing for the cockpit underneath instead of going traditional up on top, which this one was. But what I liked about this approach was not so much the canopy, thanks God for Nemo's input, but the idea that all of a sudden I think I got a bomber scale to it. The breadth looked good. The elevation proved that. The little study up on top, the intakes, a very clean, simple design. And I think I was happy with that, but there's just something about fighting this whole cockpit analysis, getting back to traditional thinking and not being innovative enough. And Nemo was just really solid enough to say, hey, why don't you try this? So I gave it a little thumbnail sketch and put it into practice, and boy, it just worked like gangbusters. Well, you did a lot. I mean, I drew it, but it takes kind of input, another set of eyeballs, another set of imagineering individuals like yourself and other viewers like Victor and Demetrius to kind of provide the input and Shadow. Those things make it magical for me. There are oftentimes, I never want to find myself like being an island unto myself, and oh, here I am, etc., etc. It's the participation that makes it all work. And again, thank you so much, Nemo. That made a huge difference. But look at, again, this I maintained, but the canopy system, traditional was okay, had a stance to it, but look what happened when let's get rid of this guy for a moment here. Look what happens when you move it over and look at the stance. All of a sudden, that whole newness there was a surprise. And I maintain a little bit more magical system in the wing system, but the scale remained the same. So all that to say that this is the elevation study. This is the front view, the front elevation, and then getting that canopy down below was really significant. And again, look at the stance in this thing, and giving it a sense of scale. Finally giving a sense of really interesting scale and a presence of being a bomber. So with that thought in mind, let's switch gears. I jumped ahead, did a little bit of line drawing study. Here's the final composition of the Manta series. There we are, guys. Squadron of 3 is ready to fly here. I jumped ahead a little bit to kind of put some information down, save a little bit of time. I did a little value study to find out if this is the one we want to work with. I want to keep it nice and neutral, very simple. Before any further, yays and nays about the composition. Working all right, because what's missing is the background area. I'll provide that as we go through the process here. If not today, wrap it up on Tuesday and share what the final illustration looks like. So I'm going to hold on for a moment here. What do you think, guys? Thumbs up or thumbs down on this illustration, the composition? Then we'll start doing some. Then we'll start doing some saying. Well, hey, thanks, Victoria. Really appreciate it, Demetrius. Shadow, anybody? Just kind of fire away at it here, and then we'll go on to this thing. Yeah, I think it's got some drama. And again, look at the difference here. You can't. This is just like a radar recon system up on the top of the area, and each one it emphasizes the canopy underneath. It made a huge difference. So let's take a moment here and start putting some staging into this thing, and we'll put it all together for us here. I'm just going to start working on this guy and get some values in, and we'll just kind of go through it here. Working from dark to light, want to keep it pretty ominous, obviously. Stain some of the bigger surfaces in first. If I move this around a little bit, it makes it a lot easier to kind of illustrate stain on some of the surfaces that we're dealing with. Get the primers in first. Very quickly here, lucidly, get some staining in. Get the majority of the surfaces in place here. The basic values down, we'll start adding some tone to it. Make some distinctive little value changes as we go here. The majority of these surfaces down first, and we'll come back in and detail it. Sorry for moving around quite a bit. Yeah, I do quite a bit. I stay hydrated quite a bit there, Nemo. Thank you. Sorry, I missed your question there. Let's drop this down a notch here. We're just kind of staining some of the big surfaces and get these large surfaces down. Start to finesse this thing as we go through it here. Just want to start getting this down to a nice, simple science here. It's going to get this, let's put that aside for a moment here. And let's get this into place. A little bit of a darker tone and away from the light source. Well, surface change here. Dropping out of the light source, going to a little bit of a darker value grade. It's going to keep it nice and nimble. the inside of those nacelles squared away too. Just kind of bring this into play. Get that dropped out just a bit. Pardon me again as I move this around. It goes in board just a bit. A little bit more of a wash in that lighter area, more of a titanium look in this wing surface up front here. Tone change there. That lighter value up on top. You're just kind of scrubbing this thing in to really kind of get the surfaces down first. Then we're going to really look at some of the detail work we're looking at here. Just going to just walk this in. Walk this down. So the light source is coming from that direction, so it's going to work right with it. Stain this thing in and give a little more presence to it. I don't want to make it too ominous, but again, has enough girth to it. It makes some good sense here. Get that into place. Let's get back into number 4 here. Let's get that number, this radar boom up front here, kind of work for us. Darker there. More separation from that other pod. That number 4 gray again. Let's get that back up here. Let's try that number 3. Just get a little more stain up on top here. Darker there, one more step here, down to a 4. Switch gears here for a minute, get a little bit more detail in this thing. Place here. Hey, how you doing, Doug? Good to have you on board. Sorry, I just looked up here. I'm just putting in some detail work here. Some little finesse stuff. that into place here. I'm just going to detail that back just a touch more. So we get a little bit more definition in this thing now, where these nacelles are. Let's see, moving back and forth here between about a 5 and a 7, just to kind of keep the balance right so it doesn't get too overpowering. What do you think, gang, so far? Is it reading all right? Coming along? Just get your input here. Subscribed by Prime. Over 2 months. Hey, thanks very much, Victoria. Boy, I really appreciate that. Pardon me for not looking up here, guys. I'm just kind of concentrating on trying to get these washes in place. So thank you very much. Interesting stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting process here. Just trying to keep it nice and simple, to keep the values nice and clean. And we'll work it out from there. Get that little radar pod to kind of read a little bit stronger. Let's get this guy back here to read a little bit more. Let's drop this form out here too, just one more time. And drop it in the shadow. It's a little bit of a drop off in the section there, so let's make sure that's clarified. That comes through, and that will come through. It's just simple separations for the time being, just to get the forms to read here. Knee cells in place. A little bolder. Let's go back here and do the same thing with this. Bring up the speed just a bit more. And back into this guy. Just kind of walking through this. Let's get a little bit of the shadow that drop in that form back here. And let's see. We'll pass in here. And again, one more in through here. And I think we'll just to kind of see what that number 4 gray looks like here. Kind of just drop this one shape. I want to keep this much more metallic look. Get a little bit lighter inside that area here. Keep that pretty clean. But yet just enough of that drop shadow. Let's get this thing in a little bit more tone to it. Some reflective quality back there. Same thing here. Start to put more animation in some of the shapes now. Let's add a little bit of this. I think we're getting there, gang. What do you think? So far, so good? So there we are, for these wind caps. And on the other end here, pardon me for moving around quite a bit, guys, just to make it easier, sort of kind of stain this stuff in a little bit more clarified here. Get one more run with this 5 and just kind of break that wing edge down just a bit here. And we get this down, bring this through. Let's get more of a change of pace inside that nacelle. Just kind of drop this the same way. Let's get this guy over here just to kind of scream just a bit more for us here. There it is. It's there. Get that one more time in here. Let's drop this guy out to it, just a little bit more tone to it, a little bit of a siphon material. Get that in place too. Top of that heat box. And one more pass. Let's get that 4 back into play here. And one more pass right in there, just to kind of knock this back a little bit more so we get more of that titanium look inside the wing structure there. What do you think, gang? There it is. Yep, you're nailing it. That's coming along pretty nice. Just keeping it nice and simple. Just want to make sure that it's a clean, simple form, and then we'll kind of detail the daylights on it as soon as we go through it here in time to come. Let me get this, I'm looking for, oh yeah, number 7, where am I here? I can find it, here it is. The more depth inside this nacelle area here, this little ventilation. Let's get that down. Again, over here. Change of pace there, and in there. And I think, just for what it's worth, oh yeah, let's get this, let's carry that shape right through. That wing form that comes, this shoulder comes right up and comes right down to that apex and just drops off into the, and actually the end of the wing itself. So it's going to get that in place. Let's knock that out just a bit more. There it is. A little bit of a secondary highlight in there. Take this guy back. More tone in this. A little more tone in this. And again, right along that leading edge, just enough to kind of give a little bit of a break. There it is. Take that through. More tone in this far side nacelle here. And for what it's worth, one more pass in there. Reflect it just a bit. Oh yeah. Make sure to do this too. Not kind of knock that orange down just a bit so it's not so prominent. There we go. More of a burnt system. There it is. There she is there. There she is there. So there you go, gang. There's that lead machine coming in here, just kind of taking its presence, and hopefully we'll be in good shape here. Let me go ahead and start some detail, draw a little bit of detail work in here. So I get a little more tone on this thing here. What do you think, gang? There's that large beauty in place. Still going with the bright white underbelly, like the Manta. Yep, still am. It's going to be the white, pure white underbelly. I'll show you in a second here of what we got. A little bit of elevation study once we get this through the system here, Nemo. What do you think, gang? With a 3/4 flyby observer on the ground looking at me. Yeah, that might be a nice little change of pace here for next go around. I might just take this thing coming underneath and do a little composition with the same squadron coming, looking up at it. So not bad. There we are. There's two. Let's see if we can get this guy stained in again. Let's gotta get this last one in place here. We'll just keep moving along here. But great input, Simo. That's part of the battle plan here to get, if I can find the right marker, we'll be in good shape. Then it is there's the three. Huh. 1, 2, 3. There, nope, that's a 3. That's a 4. Okay, go back and get this next one and match here. Again, pardon me for moving around here, guys. I just need to get this thing in a place where I can kind of move it. Hi, Heart 666, looking very sexy. Looks like the mama to the eclipse. Yeah, it is. That's what kind of birthed the whole process there, Die Hard. I mean, looking at the eclipse, I thought, that's a neat machine. And maybe we do a little smoother variation of it. I'm not going to be in the same league as those guys. I mean, they did a beautiful job with that ship. But I think this is more of a nice, clean system. Maybe the next generation, a little cleaner, a little stealthier, hopefully. And this is imposing, I think, I hope. So let's kind of get these guys stained in here. Come back in through here, preserve that darker offshoot as we go here. And again, let's get this side to work for us here. Locking in the forms here, and we're going to pick up some detail as we go through it here. Let's see, that's that. Let's get that number 5 in place here. I think we're good there. There it is. Back to number 4 here. We're going to stain this beauty in. Let's get the surfaces in first, and we'll start to really define them. moment here and just get some little finesse areas in. See if we can find that number 3 gray, and we're just going to tone a little bit more in here. Inside just a little bit of a nacelle here. Let's get this guy rolling. Let's see, we get that number 6 gray. We'll get that little internal crease here and start to put these pieces together here. Get that highlight in where the transition is. That's bolder. Much better. Get the same thing, this back machine here, kind of catch him up to speed here. All right, let me stop there for a moment. What do you think, guys? It's coming together all right as far as it's looking very sexy. Yeah, it is. I think just getting the control pieces in here first. It'll be nice to see what happens here. Let's just do a little bit of a change of pace and get some of the same character that we've got in the upper pieces here. Let's get this guy down. This little insert in place here. Insert piece here. That number 4 gray, kind of tone this back a little bit like we did the other piece here. Let's take care of some of this color. A little bit of accent color in here. And see, it's number 3 gray. We'll tone that little insert color right around the cockpit or the upper body portion here. We get that all lined up. Tone that in just a bit more. grade off just a bit more, grade off just a bit more, and again, a little bit more. So let's see what we've got going here. Now it's kind of going to pick up on a little bit of highlight here. Nope, before I do that, right, I'm going to go back in one more time to get this guy to read a little bit more. And let's take this number 7 through. I think this is it. And this, for what it's worth, let's kind of take a chance here and get more of this, no more shadow across the top of this. There you go. That's better. Pick up some of the same reflection coming out of the nasal pot here. Let's get that little character down there. Get a little bit of character there. All right, what do you think, gang? There's a squadron of 3. Just try to put it all together here. What do you think? Any good feedback? That says it's speed. Anything? What do you think, gang? You buying this? Hope, 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 hope. It's a lot of fun. It's a little more detail working here now. Let's see what happens with this thing. And here, guys, and we'll just get a little detail in this thing here. Start drawing back in a little more definition. Oops, let me do this first. All right, let me stop right there for a second. What do you think, gang? Evaluation wise, about 3 billion a piece. Definitely a sense of speed. Yeah, it's probably that might be for the wing surface itself, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good value to look at there, Victoria. What do you think, guys? Coming along all right? Global deep creativity, yep, we're nailing it. Curious how that will look. And yeah, a fly by underneath. I think that'd be a good call. And you want to get that thing to come up underneath here and take a good look at it from the underbelly side. Let me put this pen for a moment aside, and I'm going to pick up just a touch more. But number 5 gray here. I'm just gotta get that underside on the upper box here. Yeah, there. Nope, that's not it. And there it is. Okay, good deal. that. So there it is, squadron of 3. Let me go back in and just catch a little bit more in this drawing detail here. We get it squared away. And what do you think? There she is. It's a little line study in there to get it all put together. But at least 3 billion. 3 billion each. Let me see. Let me drop this down a bit here. Oh, that should just about do it there, guys. Now, the real issue I have now with this is, what do we do as far? I'm going to keep a nice simple background. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here at this stage of the game. I've got one more thing I want to show you here. But I think I'll come back in and just kind of take my time and figure out what kind of a backdrop The autograph. Yeah, the autograph is coming, but what I think I want to do here is somehow get a nice simulated backdrop in here that doesn't fussy up the machine itself. So I'm just going to sit back and think about that, and I'll probably start my next week's stream, next Tuesday stream, by showing the final product, all fully detailed background in, etc. Let me just do some more definition work. I'm sorry here, gang. I'm not quite done yet. Just want to go back and do a little more drawing. Get this thing to refine itself here. Just a bit more definition. It's going to take some of the fuzz out of this thing here just a bit. So I think, very sensitive set of circumstances. The background is going to really kind of be a big boost in keeping this thing clarified. And I don't want to get into a lot of fussiness in terms of making it overly busy. Maybe just a nice, simple, pale blue sky, a little bit of purple in it, just kind of give it to just simple. It's really interesting to see. Victor, it could be a mixed background, part space transitioning into a busy blue sky. Nice, it looks like it on attack. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's exactly the character, Victor, getting into that whole idea. Not going to bomb anything, or Orson Cloudscape. Not bad. Die Hard, Orson, that's not bad at all. Okay, that's cool. Once again, I missed the spot here. Pardon me, guys. But again, just looking at very simple execution of getting this guy to really kind of scream at it here for us, and just have a lot of fun with a nice simple composition, get into attack mode, and keeping it that direct. That could be very, very unique. But I think it's, let me get this down in place here. I'm really happy with the composition. I like the color combination. It's not overly evil. It's clean. It's simple, and I think that was the intent. But again, I'd be remiss if I didn't make this comment in closing. Not closing yet, but I've got one more thing I want to show you. It'd be really remiss by not making a comment, for example, that throughout this journey, I've learned an awful lot about putting together pieces in different systems such as this, from fighters to bombers. As I said last Tuesday, I started off with this whole concept of having a bomber image and everything looked like a fighter, and all of a sudden it turned the corner with Nemo's input, Shadow's input, Victor. All of you really helped to kind of say, no, I got to change the scale here, just a little bit timid, a little bit weak. So I moved into that whole process where I showed you these guys, for example. When I hit that one right there, even though it wasn't the final design, there was something about that girth that kind of made it all happen. And then when all of a sudden, yeah, isn't yellow pretty, Baron too? It's so nice. Although the girth and the scale was there, but it didn't have the presence. But when Nemo came along with this whole concept of getting this upper cockpit theme and going underneath, then we switched from that concept to that concept, bringing it up underneath her and displaying it like that. All of a sudden, the whole thing had a whole new freshness. So again, Nemo, if you're still listening, I cannot thank you enough for the input. That was a huge breakthrough in getting this thing to look a lot more modern and less predictable. And I think that was the thing I was trying to strive for right from square one 5 streams ago. I was really looking for something that was unique. Had a little bit of the Eclipse feel to it, like Die Hard mentioned earlier. Had a little bit of that character to it, but a little cleaner and more stealth-like and not sophisticated, but more business-like. The Eclipse is a vicious-looking machine. I love that thing. It's a great ship. But I wanted something a little softer in this end of the scale to get things moving here. To kind of get this bomber in place. So that'll be the background setting for next week, Tuesday. But before I depart here, guys, I want to show you something here, just to kind of get a sense of, all right, here in flight, as we did with the Manticore, maybe I'll come back and do something on like 3/4 landing pattern, 3/4 front and the actual airstrip itself, and then maybe do like Nemo mentioned earlier, a shot from underneath where you see the white belly form of Manta, and maybe some gill work underneath this thing. But I had some time since last week after I got this settled here. I went back in and said, what would it look like? We gave a little bit of a presence, and so I went to put this together just to see what you think. There's a little elevation study of what this guy might look like when it's all said and done. So that kind of, it doesn't have the white underbelly. I'm just looking at a basic shape here and format and character, and getting a sense of scale and putting a little bit of an environment into it. So what do you think, game? Just making sense here? Oops, get this all squared away here. There we are. Very different look, I think it really. What I love about the fact that the canopy underneath gives us this whole new character up front here about what's happening in place, and entry egress underneath the canopy itself, come up into that and back in the cockpit area. Sense of scale. Some of the the wheel painting and the rear wheels or the wing wheels are a little bit more stealth-like and plated, but again a very sheer looking shape with a lot of body girth going uphill. It's almost like it has a California rake to it. Then the wings come back, just counterpose that just a little bit. Just interesting. Price just up to $4 billion. Up to $4 billion. You guys are really generous. I are finally a ship that has lets me actually see my target. Yeah, there you go. Bargain, accurate, Victoria. Yeah, it's a bargain. Hey, Diehard, that's a great comment. Finally, a ship that lets me actually see my targets. Yeah, that was the idea. I think that's why sorry for being redundant here, but that's why when Nemo brought that, sent me some information on how to change the canopy structure and get it underneath, that just changed everything. If you're going to do a long-range bomber and really do a nasty piece with that thing, then change the paradigm. And I think that's what works so wonderfully with that concept. And when that happened, everything just fell into place. So once again, Nemo, if you're still with us, man, thank you so much. That was a great bit of input here. And again, the character looks really good. Single-seater or two-seater? It's a two-seater side-by-side, yeah. That'd be kind of a fun thing too, guys, to do maybe a little interior study and future stream, kind of bring it back. Do we need two? Yeah, I think so. No, not staggered, maybe side by side, or else maybe give guy in front and guy in the back. But I think probably the best combination would be side by side here, two crew members. But there's the elevation. Let me give you a moment. What do you think, guys? Thumbs up. Sit on my lap. Interesting. Very good, Diehard. Before I move on here, guys, so what do you think? Thumbs up on this little elevation study. I mean, basic character. I mean, it's very simple. It's not overdone. I just wanted to keep it nice and clean. But again, the breakthrough was to get into a bomber character that looked like I had some real substance to it. And I think so far so good. I think this really makes a huge difference in terms of getting the elevation down. We're going to go back and do a little lighter upper. This, for Nemo's sake here, for those of you, I did this ahead of time. I just want to get the basic form down in one scheme. Now we'll start switching gears. Darker upper, lighter lower. See what it comes with. And do a little view from underneath here. So let me go back to there it is. Let's get rid of that guy. There's the final set. Don't forget inside. I don't think so. Okay. Only one person to fly, one person to make the one person to fly, one person to make the drinks. There you go. Very cool. Well, I think that does it, guys. I mean, I'm really happy with the fact that we've got we had the personality established. We've got a bomber look. Short range and long range. You know, that's a good point too, Victoria. The short range, why don't you go back to some of those earlier studies I did, like they're more jet fighter. Maybe he has an escort group that looks like much more like some of the jet profiles we did earlier, back about 3-4 weeks ago. The same basic character, but much more refined. That's a good point. We could build a whole case on this thing, but I think I want to move along here to a different subject matter come next Tuesday. But I'm going to revisit this thing. Let's just call this phase 1. And I think that's a great point, Victoria. Get into a short range system and a long range system. And what do the variants look like here? So nice. Yeah, pretty cool. But again, I think it's between now and next Tuesday. I'll do a little. I'm going to put some little test cases. I'm putting some color studies into this about what the background might look like. I'm going to keep it nice and simple within the composition, and then we'll let it go from there. But just to satisfy Victoria here, let me just see if I can get this. Get a stick out. Pardon me, and we're just going to give it the old. If we think it's a final setup here with some of the illustration to work at with the background, let's call it a day here, and we'll do the following here. There it is. There's the autograph, Victor. How's that, man? Does that make sense? There she be. Satisfied. Well, again, guys, I can't thank you enough for the input. It's been really a lot of fun. We're not done yet. I think we'll keep this as a family series and so forth and do some neat stuff with it. But I just cannot thank you enough for some really interesting stuff being done here. And I just missed something here. Hang on before I sign off. Make sure it's all compatible. Get the little body section back there and take it through. There it is. Take it through and take it through. There it is. really pleased with the fact that we started out with one theme in mind. I thought I had a bomber system, but I did not. I kept working at it, and thanks to your input, we kind of developed a little bit of a character and some communication here. Family of Devastation series. Hey, there you go. FDS. I like that. That's pretty cool, Victor. Nice. Thank you. Anybody in closing commentary? Any yays and nays? Any commentary to make? I mean, did we make some progress from square one? I wish I had those sketches handy. I'd show you where we started. But there was just, oh yeah, well, hang on a minute. Well, here we are, guys. Sorry about that. There's Far Cry from phase one. Look at that. That's where we started 5 weeks ago. Unbelievable. Or 5 sessions ago. Not quite a bomber, but look at the difference in the character here. Hopefully that, again, it all comes down to communication, and the communication from you out there is extremely, extremely appreciated. Very much appreciated. It's great to have you on board. Again, I think the objective was to get a nice clean bomber look. We did it, got the girth, got the scale right, and I think this guy kind of gives a little bit of an insight as to what the overall character is in a static situation. And then go ahead to into a nice flight system with this in flight and into a bomber configuration. So yeah, submit to see. Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, Victoria? So far, so good. Well, let me do this, guys. We're going to wrap it up here, and I want to thank you again for your time today. If you have a moment, please visit my website at drcontrast.com. There's some neat stuff going on there. We're going to start adding some materials to it on the website. For example, some apparel lines coming in automotives. I want to turn some of this maybe into some shirt graphics for us. Out of the Dr. Contrast line, and we're working on that. It's a slow process, but I'd rather do it right than rush it. So I want to make sure we have some good content on that site for you to look at. So to all of you, Victoria, Shadow, Nemo, Diehard, Demetrius, thank you so much for joining forces today, guys. They really have helped put together the process here for me. And again, I can't thank you enough for the input, especially from guys like, especially Nemo. Boy, that change of pace. Sorry again, Nemo, but that change of pace was everything. So thank you very much. Visit my website, Jim at drcontrast.com. If you have a note you want to send me or something, information about things you might want me to work on or to take a look at, please feel free to visit me at Jim at drcontrast.com. And again, thank you so much. Last but not least, hope you have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday, hopefully at 2 p.m. And always never forget to remember to dare to be great, because you are. Thanks very much, folks. Take care. We'll see you next week.